because she's a saint. And the next day, her picture is in the front of the newspaper with a giant X on it saying, "If you see this woman, kill her!" So she decided that was a good time to leave. She called my dad. She's like, "I gotta get out of here." He's like, "Okay, go to India." She flies to India, meets my dad's mom, my other grandmother, and they fall in love. They're like, "Oh my God, you're so sweet. We're kindred spirits." Yada yada, brown Buddhism stuff. And so my mom was allowed to stay in my dad's house. It was a big house in New Delhi. You know, everybody lived there. My dad, my dad's brothers, their wives, their kids, my dad's wife, their kids. Arranged marriages. And after 6 months, they fell in love. Oh, straight Bollywood style. I can just picture it now. My dad in the streets, just doing a little shimmy, picking up an orange, throwing it in the air, catching it. A bunch of little Slumdog kids in the background, like, "Come on, let me eat that orange." So after 6 months, my dad decided to ask my mom to run away. It was a rainy day. Oh, could it be more Bollywood? He knocks on the door. It was very close. It was in the house, and didn't have to travel very far. And he knocks on the door, and he says, "Do you want to run away with me?" And she goes, "Sure." And they do. They run away to Frankfurt, Germany. That's where you go when you're in love and you have no boundaries. They get married in a Sikh temple in Frankfurt, and then they move to Chicago. They have my sister Negin, which means jewel, because she's the jewel of their eye. Aww. And their marriage in Frankfurt wasn't legal in the States, so they decided to get married in Las Vegas by Elvis. So while my mom was 9 months pregnant with me, she was fully pregnant, Elvis was like, "Do you take this man?" She's like, "I already did take this man. Look at this fucking huge ass belly." And then I was born, and then 30 years later, I'm performing for you here at Top Secret Comedy Club. Oh, isn't that fun? I lost my dad 2 years ago at a supermarket. He went down one aisle. I went down another. I never saw him again. I'm kidding. I was at the Fringe Festival, and he passed away in that same house in India where my parents lived for all those years. And I had to go to India for the cremation ceremony. If you've never been to an Indian cremation, it's 2 days long. Wear comfortable shoes. It's not like a Western one where you just pop somebody in a microwave and then they're done 10 seconds later. This was like straight Game of Thrones style. Everybody caught up on Game of Thrones? Yeah, I can't believe they killed Ned. And we had to set my dad up on a pyre, and then I had to walk around him with this piece of wood on fire. And then this guy said, "Say some words before you light your dad on fire." So I decided to go with the first word I could think of, which was Dracarys. That's when I found out nobody in India watches Game of Thrones. My dad left me his clothing company. That's where I get all of my material from. I sold everything. He left me with 100,000 sweatshirts. I'm hoping someday I get to leave my son with 200,000 sweatshirts. I don't have any kids, even though I look like a father of 5. I don't know how that happened. I do know what I would name my first son, though. Since my last name is Singh, I think it'd be great to name him Martin Luther. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of shitty people that were coming at me right away, like in the middle of the cremation. People from the business world were just coming up to me being like, "Hey, did you know your dad owes me $30,000? "No, I don't have a receipt. You just have to trust me." I was like, "I've never seen you before in my life." This other guy came up to me, and he sucked. He's like, "Your dad was just about to make me his business partner." I was like, "I don't know who you are." And you try to get me to order like 100,000 ugly sweatpants. And I was like, "No one's going to buy these shits." I digress. I sold everything, and then in January I decided to move here and pursue my career as a stand-up comedian, and it's been great. I've learned a lot about being in the UK, like coming out of the underground. Whichever queue you choose to exit, that's the one that's going to take the longest. You can see 10 people behind one queue and then one guy behind another. You're like, "I'm going to go stand behind that one guy," and he's just hitting that thing with a library card. And you're like, why do you even exist? I went to Derby. Anybody been to Derby? Oh, what a shithole. There's no trains or buses that come back to London after 11. London is like a mean girlfriend who's like, you left the house, now you have to think about what you did. You are not welcome back tonight. I had to find somewhere to stay warm because my gig ended at 10 and my first bus was at 4. So I found one place that was open. It was a student nightclub called Mosh. Right, it was me and 200 18-year-olds. And you know how 18-year-olds are, they're disgusting. They're all drinking WKD and they're making out and fingering each other. And I was watching because I hadn't come yet, so I was paying attention. But from the minute I got there was this one creepy boy staring at this girl the whole night, 3 hours. I was like, what is this kid's move? Finally, after 3 hours, he goes up to the DJ and he requests a song, and the DJ goes, oh, this next song goes out to Emma. And then he played The Killers, Mr. Brightside. We've all heard it, right? Coming out of my cage and I've been doing just fine. Gotta be down because I want it all. It started out with a kiss. How did it end up like this? It was only a kiss. It was only a kiss. It makes no sense to request that song for a fucking love song. After like the second kiss, creepy kid goes up to Emma, says something to her. Emma immediately turns around, runs outside. And then he starts screaming, Emma! Emma! He runs out after her. 200 people run out after them, and I'm just sitting in an empty room. I go, fuck it, I'm gonna go outside. I go outside, and this young guy is just berating Emma. He's just screaming at her, don't you know I love you? Don't you know you're the only one I want to be with? Emma immediately gets into a car with another guy, drives away. Everybody starts making fun of this kid. They're like, ha ha, nobody loves you. So I decide to show him some love, you know? I go up to him, I put my arm around him, like, hey man, listen, you're 18. Eventually, you're gonna meet somebody who's gonna love you. What do you even like about about Emma? He's like, oh, she's my fittest cousin. I was like, oh, Darby. So now it's 3 o'clock, I got 1 hour before I gotta catch my bus and I'm hungry. I find a chip shop that's open, it's 1 mile away from where I am. I decide to go there. And when I get there, it's just an empty white room. There's no menu, there's no people, but I know it's a chip shop because I found it on my phone. I go inside, after about a minute, this guy walks out from the back and he goes, yes. And I was like, hi, can I get some chicken and chips? He's like, chicken and chips? And I was like, yeah, chicken and chips? And he was like, chicken and chips? I was like, what are we doing here? And he said, oh, sorry, my dad just passed away and left me this chip shop. I have no idea what I'm doing. And I was like, well, you're never going to believe this, but your dad owes me $30,000. But life is full circle. Like this year I went to the Fringe and I met my girlfriend. Hey! She was living underneath me and then she was living underneath me. Do you know what I'm saying? She lives in Canada though, so that's kind of tricky because I'm here for another... Yeah, let's just move for every country that we all represent, huh? Fucking... I almost said I love you to her though. Fuck, what an idiot. Over the phone. You can't do that for the first time. When's the right time that you can say I love you to somebody? It's definitely not the first time you think it. The first time you think you love somebody, it's like a fire alarm going off. You just sit there and you're like, this is probably nothing. I'm gonna wait until I see some smoke. Mark, how am I doing? 30 seconds. Well, let me tell you guys, you've been a fucking treat and a half. You guys are a good bunch of people. You're gonna be fucking successful as shit. You're all gonna fucking jerk off tonight. Thank you. And then let's just all, if you're on Instagram, follow me on Instagram because I need it. It's a hard name to spell. OmidSingh, huh? OmidSingh. You guys have been so much fun. Have a wonderful rest of your day.